This week's movie, Who Am I? After my sister is kidnapped and receiving a treasure map from her late husband, I set off to Colombia to trade the map for her freedom. Simple a plan as it may seem, I still managed to get lost in the jungle whilst being chased by a corrupt policeman and meet a soldier of fortune who agrees to take me to civilization for a price. Stay tuned to find out. You're listening to the Banana Reel Movie Podcast, episode 50. Warning. This podcast contains spoilers and coarse language, so you've been forewarned. Hey there, folks. Just before we kick off this week's episode, while Heath and I were discussing the 2016 version, we were comparing it a little bit with the original Ghostbusters. And for some stupid reason, we couldn't remember Ernie Hudson's character's name. And for some stupid reason, we called him Winslow. Obviously, that is not correct, and his character's name is Winston. So every time we say Winslow, we actually mean Winston. For some reason, we just had some kind of a brain fart. Anyway, maybe Dan will edit us saying, well, me saying Winston as a censorship. Maybe he won't. I guess you'll just have to listen to find out. Anyway, on with the show. Hey, we're the Theatre Grillers. My name is Carlos.
I'm Heath.
And each and every fortnight we get together and discuss a movie that we've gone and seen. And this particular episode is Ghostbusters 2016.
Oh, I like it how you did the good old 2016, just to clarify which one we went and saw.
Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah. So before we get into the whole thing, the usual spiel.
Oh, yes.
Simplistically put, if you want to get to us in any way, shape or form, just go to our website, which is theatregorillas.com, spelled either way, English or the UK or the American spelling for theatre.
Yeah.
And from there, you can get to our various media outlets.
That's right. And I've heard that at gmail.com is been going, quite well. So
that was a little fuck up from me last episode.
Continue sending your correspondence to at gmail.
Yeah. So the actual address is theatregorillas@gmail.com.
Yes.
So anyway, right. Now that that's out of the way, don't forget also just rate and subscribe, like, and all that stuff.
All of those stuff. Thumbs are up.
Yes.
Indeed.
Not down.
Not down. No downs.
Yeah, so off the bat, I'm just going to say, going in to see this movie, I was surprised. I went last night. So the movie's only been out since, Thursday?
Yes.
Right, so
it's quite fresh.
Tonight is Wednesday.
Yep.
So I went and saw it on Tuesday night, tight ass Tuesday, right? So
gotta love tight ass Tuesday.
Everyone goes out for tight ass Tuesday.
Yep.
But no one was at this cinema.
Where were you at a popular cinema?
Yeah, I went to Fox.
Oh, okay.
Or the Entertainment Quarter.
Yes.
And no one was there. I went to the 8:40 session.
Well, it is a school night. It is a bit late.
Come on, it's a Tuesday.
True. Well, I saw it on a Friday in the day.
Yeah.
I went and saw it though Gold Class cinema in George Street, and that was packed.
Yeah.
Like there was probably only about, let's say 4 seats or lots of seats that were free. Being Gold Class though, as you know, smaller cinema, so that's the whole point.
Yeah, fair enough.
But still, it was pretty full. But something that did surprise me, something I wasn't expecting.
What?
Kids.
Really?
So, Gold Class, you generally go there so you can have a bottle of wine with you and, maybe something to eat.
Yeah.
Lots of kids.
Although, funny though, I don't even remember what the rating for this movie was.
Yeah, I think M. So M in Australia is like M15. So it's a recommended for 15-year-olds, but or recommended that kids come along. Parents go along with their kids.
According to IMDb, it's PG-13. So
yeah, well, that's about the equivalent.
Yeah,
that's about the equivalent.
So it's not too bad. I mean, also if you look at the original film, it's there are a couple of scary moments.
Yeah.
But it's not a horror. It's a comedy in its essence.
And that's exactly what this film is as well.
Yeah.
It's not a horror flick. It's a comedy. And you know what? They established that quite quickly into it.
Yeah. Now, the other thing I was going to mention is when I went to see this movie, I was I'll admit, I was one of the skeptics of, can this work as a reboot? And some people were like, it's not a reboot, it's a continuation. No, I'm sorry, it's a definite reboot.
Oh, it's a total reboot. It's and I think that's actually one of the things as well, because if you go into it thinking you're going to see a continuation with all the characters, all the previous cast reprising their roles, you're going to be sorely disappointed. It is a reboot. It is a retelling of a similar story that we have before. However,
not entirely
the same. And we can talk about the similarities about that to it later. Yeah. But that's actually one thing that I kind of did, and I think that's why I enjoyed it. I went in quite early on. I said, I'm not going to compare it to the original.
Now, here's my question to you.
Yes.
Did you?
I did at first. The first thing I did, and look, let's get straight in as a similarity. Mm-hmm. The opening.
Yes.
Now, original Ghostbusters opening, you've got the in the library.
Yeah.
Woman walking through the library. She's hearing something, goes and investigates. Next thing you know, ghost, but we don't actually see the ghost at that point.
Right.
In this movie, we have a similar thing, except it's now at a heritage home.
Yeah.
And, people are getting a tour, which they've set up to look like it's haunted with certain things going on.
Yeah, I thought that was actually quite cute.
I thought that was cute as well. But then we get the good old actually going to investigate something, and unlike in the original where it's just a bit of light and a bit of wind going on, it's actually, you see, ground cracking open, person about to get sucked in.
Yeah, but you still don't see anything.
No, you don't see the ghost yet. That's right.
you see the things that are affected by the ghost.
Yes.
But they've kept that true, I think.
That's exactly right. But see, really though, from there, the links and similarities are very far and few between and very minor.
I don't know. I think there's definitely a lot of callbacks to the original film.
Okay, how? Explain.
First off, the original cast, right?
Yep.
They are throughout this movie in different ways.
Yep. Even Harold Ramis, God rest his soul.
Yeah, God rest him. He appears. He's actually the first to appear.
Yes, he is actually. And I did like that little nod. That was good.
Yeah. So he appears as a nice bust.
Yep.
And but the original characters do appear.
Well, no, the original actors, not their characters.
Not the characters. The actors appear as different characters.
Yep.
But it's more so the characters that they also play.
Okay.
I think is also a nod. So in the original film, you had one character that was sanctioned by part of the mayor's office, if you remember, who ends up releasing all the ghosts from the
Yeah.
Right?
What's it? The asshole.
Exactly.
I think actually at one point they just call him a dick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's actually played by Bill Murray this time around.
Yes, but he's not, he plays such a small, like he's in it for a grand total. We see him once, we see him a second time, and then he's taken away by a ghost.
Yeah, well, here's the other thing. All the actors that were in the original film, all their cameos are exactly that. They're just a cameo.
Yes, exactly.
They're not integral in any part of the story.
No, exactly.
But one of the other major nods I was going to say is the proton packs are virtually the same.
They look very similar, yes. And they act the same way. But see, that's once again, that's something that they'd have to bring over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's Slimer. Slimer appears.
That was cool, actually. I did like the way that was fucking
But
cute.
because I feel that it's kind of it's 2016 now. We have to modernize and be PC, right?
Yep.
So now that we've got an all-female cast, which we'll get into a little bit later whether we think they worked or not.
Yeah.
But we've got an all-female cast this time round. And then Slimer, who became a mascot over the years, also has
a girlfriend.
Yeah,
but I thought it was cute because they kind of both looked like they were like 50s hooligans.
Yeah,
when they steal the car and they're driving around just being nutters.
It's just odd. It's just odd, but it kind of works. I don't know if it really does, though.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. I thought it was great. And every shot that they had him in, not just with him, stuffing his face, but when he steals that car and they're on the joyride, fucking hilarious, man.
One of the major nods I have to point out is the firehouse. The firehouse appears. It's the same firehouse.
Yes.
And granted, they don't really use it until towards the end, but it's there. And I mean, I don't know, it's just all these little nods to the original film that pays a lot of homage to.
Yeah.
Including the logo.
Yes. Yeah, look, the logo is also exactly
It's iconic, right? So they're the things that I think.
Yeah.
But I want to actually get onto the topic of, okay, so this movie is a comedy.
Yes.
Did you actually find it hilarious, amusing, or it tried to be, but didn't quite get there?
Look, there were moments when I thought, okay, there's certain jokes that they were trying to pull off where I was a bit like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
But, that's actually a lot I find with, especially with Paul Feig's, like the stuff that he's directed, he can be a little bit hit and miss every now and again.
Yeah.
But there were times when I was laugh out loud, like I was, as in rolling around in my seat kind of laughing.
Yeah.
I found it was hilarious, especially like, a lot of people are saying, oh, how funny Chris Hemsworth was. And I thought, there were points that he was hilarious, but more Kristen Wiig's interactions with him.
Right.
And also, not only that, the way, how she was pining over him and making, the funny, like, kind of, oh, you're just going up to touch him and whatnot.
Yeah.
It was generally always commented on by Melissa McCarthy. And she'd say something like,
right.
I mean, I love it. There's one point where I think Kristen Wiig's a bit drunk. She's a bit dancing around. She grabs his waist and she starts doing something.
Yeah, kind of like a conga.
Yeah, kind of like a congo. And then she goes, come on, here, a lawsuit waiting to happen.
Yeah.
And I thought, that would crack me up.
See, the funny thing is, right, I think out of the female cast, I think certain people really did well.
Oh, totally.
Right? And I think the ones that really shined out for me is Melissa McCarthy.
Oh, she's always, actually, I shouldn't say always, but everything I've seen her in recently, I'm loving.
I to be honest, I haven't seen anything recent with her in it.
Oh, yes.
But
The Boss Man, it's fucking great.
I don't mind her as an actress. I think she does quite well.
Yeah.
And I think she is a good comedian. I think her delivery is perfect.
Yeah.
In a lot of situations and a lot of films. But in this movie, I found that she was like the airy carry. Oh, airy carry. That's not even a phrase. She was the person who was like out there in thinking, and she was after the topic of debate of do ghosts exist, and that was her field of work.
Yeah,
and she was passionate about it.
Yeah. Taking
it in a really sort of comical standpoint, but yet in a serious nature.
Well,
right?
she was meant to be almost the she's the true believer.
Yeah.
As in, she, from the get-go, she's the one who totally believes that ghosts are real. She's just trying to prove that it is true.
Yeah.
Through scientific research as well. Like, so she's trying to discover it's real. Then you've got Kristen Wiig's character, she's the, I used to think this when I was younger, but now I'm a serious scientist and I want to, get out of this kind of this field of work.
Yeah.
But at the same time, once she discovers that it's true, is willing to go along.
Yeah. But
the
point that I wanted to get to, though...
I was going to say, complete your point, because then I want to comment on something. Go.
The point that I wanted to get to with Melissa McCarthy is, I think not only is her character the driving force between all of them
Well, she is the leader.
In this movie, I actually do feel like she is the leader.
Yes, agreed.
I think she pulls that off 100%.
Yeah. I know, I totally agree. She's just she even is as an actress, because even though she's not the first of the characters that we meet, I think her role in this movie is she's the one in charge.
Yeah.
She's in charge of the group. She's in charge of the kind of the research.
Mm-hmm. And
yet at the same time, I don't feel that that's one thing they kind of don't want to say exert. Exactly right. They're not saying this is the group dynamic, kind of, which I do think they did a little bit in the original Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Even though they all worked together, you still had the group dynamic of who was in charge.
Yeah.
Where actually, even saying that, who would you think, if you were to pick someone who was in charge of the original Ghostbusters, who would you say?
It was definitely Egon.
Yeah, that's what I would say as well, because he was the one who was always inventing all the stuff. He was the one who he was the champion of all the science.
He was, I think, more so with the original, the character of Egon was more so, he was level-headed enough that in order to achieve part C, part A and B need to be
done,
working together.
Exactly.
And he always put it in a way that I'm trying to remember the character's name, Ray.
Yes.
That made Ray sort of focus enough to aim for that.
Exactly. Okay. Because that's where I go in this one, even though she had that dynamic, because that was kind of her. It wasn't like an overt, okay, and, this is the dynamics of the group.
One thing I've got to say is that from the original, like, when you get reboots, people tend to recast the same characters, right?
Yes.
So we've got our Egon, we have our Ray, we have our Bankman, and we've got, what was the... Winslow, thank you. And we've got our 4 characters, and this is what they do.
Yeah.
In this movie, it felt different.
Yes, it did. Absolutely. And that's actually one of my things that my notes I wrote down. One of my notes is that they were actually original. Yes, they were within the same realm. When I say that as in scientists chasing ghosts.
Yeah.
And they use the same materials, but they weren't just female copies.
Yes.
They were their own characters.
They were definitely their own.
Yeah.
What the only thing, if it came to the scientific trope of the film compared to the original, is just the language they use in describing the ghosts.
Yes.
I would say that is the only thing that actually is the same thing.
Well, it's because they always talk about, Phase 5 Spectre and all the other stuff. They use the kind of the same...
The lingo
that they use. But I think that is a trope that you need to use. So it's like, it was funny when you were saying before of little similarities, things that you saw. I don't see those as big pulls from the original. I see that as just the little similarities that they have to use, the nods.
Right.
And they have to use that language. And funnily enough, how funny was the cameo from Dan Aykroyd?
I found that cameo strange.
But it was great. You know what was hilarious about it?
What?
Did you hear what his line was?
He was explaining the spectral...
Yeah. They're like, oh, I'm not going that far. It's only just a 5... it's only a Phase 5 Spectre. It'll be fine. He just drives off. It was great.
Yeah, but that confused the shit out of me, right?
Yeah.
So everyone else is either like a skeptic or a scientist in some way, shape, or form.
Oh, totally different. Yeah.
But not a part of, who was the actor that played Winslow? Do you remember?
I do not know.
Neither do I. But
Looking
anyway,
that up right now.
Yeah, you look that up. In the meantime, I'll make my point. In the original, he was kind of like what what's her name? Leslie Jones.
Yes, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So in the original, he was pretty much what Leslie Jones is in this movie.
Ernie Hudson,
thank you. So he was very much that character. That's probably the only real similarity between old generation, new generation of characters. But I also felt that in terms of Winslow in the original, he was just more like, I've answered the newspaper article, right? I'm looking for a job.
Yeah.
Whereas in this one, she's like, she actually has knowledge of the city.
Yeah. And she's also actively, after seeing the ghost in this station, she actively wants to join.
Yeah, and help.
Yeah, and help.
Which I think is a nice difference.
I like that too, yeah.
But with the cameos, back to my point. So with the cameos, they're all kind of, they're in, they're out, and it makes sense with the character that they're playing, right? So Bill Murray's the skeptic.
Yeah.
Well, you've got the bust of Egon, right?
Yeah. But, of Harold Ramis.
Yeah, so he's just another scientist or whatever in the school, right?
Yeah.
So that's fine. But then you got Sigourney Weaver, who also plays a doctor, but you can kind of see...
Oh, fuck, I completely forgot that she showed up in the credits.
So she's in the end credits.
Yeah.
They didn't forget about her, which I think is great.
Yeah.
And I think...
I'm actually good nod. I wouldn't have thought she would have done it, so good nod to her.
Yeah, so... Well, it was a famous movie for her, right?
Yeah, I know.
So her character is another scientist who is very much along the lines of the blonde girl. I can't remember the character's name now.
I know. I'm trying to think of her name as well. It's killing me. Blonde girl with glasses, the engineer.
So Holtzman.
Yes.
Right? So
Holtzman, yeah.
Holtzman's character is very quirky, and I think by long and far, I think her character was my favourite.
Okay, keep going.
Right? So anyway, so you see like the mentor and sort of mentee relationship between the two characters, and that's great. And it's
They're
presented and out, right? Yeah. But when it came to Dan Aykroyd, he's a cab driver. Is it the notion that cab drivers know everything?
I just think it's more that the notion that it's, he's a cabbie and he's probably just, I don't know, he could have read something, he just knows about ghosts, the end, but I just thought it was hilarious because it's the same sort of thing that Ray would say.
Yeah, but that's my point. Yeah. All the cameos make sense for the characters they're playing.
Because they're not actually the characters that they are. Is that what you mean?
Or that they were in the originals.
Yeah.
Whereas he's just spitting off the same shit as he did in the original films. And I think it breaks it a little bit.
I liked it. I thought it was hilarious. And see, I don't know, because I thought for me, that was a little nice nod as well to the original. It's like there he is saying a typical Ray comment.
But that's the thing. The original characters don't exist in this world.
No, I know. But but once again, it's a nod.
I know it's a nod, but I don't know. I just don't think. I think another character like Sigourney Weaver should have used it.
Yeah, fair enough.
I don't think a cab driver should have used it.
Okay.
Unless they're playing that notion of cab drivers know everything.
No.
But even then,
I think it was two, because it was a 2-second thing.
Yeah, granted.
But still, I know.
Granted, I'm just saying, like, if I got to pick at anything, it's going to be something like that. But,
fair enough.
All right, go on.
So you mentioned before, okay, so Holtzman, you really liked that character. You thought she was great. I have to say, I didn't mind her. I did like the fact that she was always coming up with new and inventive ways to fight ghosts. I thought that was good. And I thought that was great that we didn't just stick to the proton packs. Mm-hmm. We've got some hand-to-hand ones. We've got some, grenades. We've got stuff going on. I actually thought that was a really decent change, Mm-hmm. But I did find some of her quirks really annoying to watch.
Right.
Really, really annoying. Especially, like, there was points where I know when she'd have, like, little eccentric moments. And I was just like, oh, fuck. Like, it was,
did you feel it was over the top?
Over the top and too often.
Right.
Like, it didn't happen, like the stuff with Kristen Wiig and Chris Hemsworth, like doing that stuff. Yeah, it happened 3 or 4 times, but it spread out throughout the movie. She'd have these moments. Granted, it was a character trope because that was her character, but it was pretty much every time she was on screen, it was happening.
Right.
And by the end of it, I was just going, fuck, this is annoying the shit out of me. Granted, I will say this: I hadn't had a cigarette yet, and I had a few drinks into me, so right. I may have just been my own little brain clicking over. But yeah, I just found it annoying.
Right.
Yeah, but I did like I said, I did like the fact that she was inventing all this new stuff.
See, for me, I thought she was the one actually delivering the funniest lines.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man.
I think it's to do with the fact that she's so out there and eccentric that it just. Half the stuff she comes up with, you kind of see coming, but you don't at the same time. And I think it just works for her character.
Yeah, fair enough. That's like
but you also see the humanity in her craziness.
Yes.
And when I say that, what I mean is the part that you see in the trailers, which appears in the film, and that's another thing I'll get to in a sec. But the part where they're in backstage of the concert hall and she's wearing the wig or whatever along with all the other mannequins, the heads of the wig holders.
Yeah.
And she goes, what is it? It's the wig? The hat too much? Is the hat too much? And you see the disappointment in her face because she thought she was doing something funny and the other person just did not have a bar of it.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, okay, maybe that didn't work.
Yeah, see, that was a funny part. I actually did like that, and I did love that whole that moment as well. I thought actually the stuff in the concert hall was actually really funny. Like that, like all the stuff that happened in there was brilliant.
It's not mine.
Yeah, that's
the guy doing all the lighting and stuff.
Yeah. That's right. And they're like, "This is awesome. It's not mine." Oh, so great. And then I like it as well when she's got the thing on there. She's like, "Nope, that's it. I'm leaving." And she's just trying to walk out slowly. But you know what it's like when you've got something on you, like when you've got a spider on you or something like that, and you do that walk. Of if I go really slow,
I'm going to completely ignore it and I'm going to go about my day.
Yeah, exactly. And if I don't move, it will not crawl up to my face.
And of course, the people that take selfies with it.
Oh, of course.
And she loses the shit with it.
Yeah, it's like, really? See, that was a laugh out loud moment. Yeah. That was fucking gold. So also one thing you'll note, like in this this concert hall as well, is I think this is a great way to see actually what the visual effects in the film.
Yeah.
Because... One, that ghost looked awesome.
Actually, I'm going to pull it back even further. The first ghost we see...
Totally, absolutely.
That also kind of pays homage to the librarian.
Yes.
That was awesome.
Yeah, it looked fantastic. And like the kind of almost opaque, as in you could see the rib cage, you could see the bones, yet at the same time you could see the flesh and the face.
For me, the eyes.
Yes.
The eyes were so sinister. The lighting and everything, how she's sort of looking down but looking out.
Yeah.
And just the way that the lighting and the glow of the skin and the eyes and everything, it freaked me out. And they're all like, oh, wow, she's trying to make contact with us. I'm like, are you for real?
Yeah.
Anyone can see that she's malevolent.
Yeah. And can I say, I love it as well. Just then the effect of face changes, spews ectoplasm.
Yep.
All over Kristen Wiig's character. For the first time, she gets it a lot in this film.
Here's something, right?
Yeah.
So that's a running joke throughout this movie that she keeps getting slimed.
Yeah. She's
right?
the one who just
They don't
continues.
refer to it as slime until later on, which I think was good.
Yeah.
But the running gag that she keeps getting slimed, I think, is hilarious.
Yeah, no, it's fucking brilliant.
And
It's
even
so
when
good.
she cops a little bit on the shoulder later on,
Yeah.
she's like, oh, really?
Yeah, exactly. But I like it exactly because that's that whole, they're getting that new, okay, she's the one getting slime, but it didn't just happen once. It fucking just happened all the time.
It happened several times.
Yeah.
But what I liked as well, it's not just her.
No. And then
The second time it happens, everyone gets it.
yeah, everyone cops it.
Which I think is good. Like, it's not too overplayed.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like they're not just flogging a dead horse with that joke.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the visual effects of that ghost, the ghost who's in the train station.
Yeah.
With the, obviously being
convict who's
electrocuted.
being electrocuted.
Yeah, and just the electric sparks coming off. The lighting, the mist around them, the whole, like the aura.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck, the visual effects. Obviously, we're in the year 2016. You can do better effects. But I felt like as well, they were like the original effects, but better.
With the original, the ghosts were kind of like an overlay, like a cell overlay, right?
Yes, yeah.
Whereas this one, they've kind of kept that, and all they did was paint them a different color.
Yeah.
And so they've kind of kept that imagery of the different color to give them that spectral sort of look.
Yeah.
But what I love is that they're not like this weird sort of, pardon me, they're not like this sort of weird visual representation from, well, granted, the older technology, that's all they could figure out how to do it.
Yeah.
And that's fine. I've got no problem with that. But I find with this movie, the way that they've sort of paid homage to the colouring, but still given that such a realism is really cool.
Yeah, exactly. And it's given them that almost weight. Like, I think that's a great term to use, like weight.
Yeah.
So they've given them mass, they've given them body, but at the same time, exactly, it's that same spectral look.
Yeah.
And no, really well done. And that's why I mean, with the visual effects of that demon thing on her when she's walking through the mosh pit, you know, and she's just doing that, you know, like the spider walk. It's fucking brilliant. It's so good. It's so well done.
Now, before you spoke about like the gadgets, right?
Yes.
So we've got proton packs,
Yep.
which I think are really cool to see them back.
Yep.
A little bit updated, which is fine.
Yep.
And then they also introduce like other gadgets.
Yes.
Now, the thing that got me, right?
I better know what you're going to say. Keep going.
Now, the thing that got me is we've got our proton packs.
Yes.
And I understand the function. The function isn't to blast the shit out of them. It's actually to use it as a lasso.
Yes.
Or lasso.
Yeah.
Right? And rope them in towards the trap.
Yes.
We only ever see them use a trap once.
Yep.
And for whatever reason, the skeptic tricks
them into opening it.
Yeah, and I mean, to me, that's a bit of a why? Like,
Yeah.
what is the point? Like, what do you honestly have to prove to this guy?
Yeah.
You never really see him before until that. You know, I get the whole point of the character. I'm trying to remember the character's name. Hold on. Kristen Wiig. So I get the point of the character Erin, right? It's like she's lost her job. She's gone all head first into this whole ghostbusting.
Yeah.
And she's trying to prove to everyone that no, it fucking exists. So stop saying that we're hoaxes or like liars or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So I get that, and I get that she's being baited by the skeptic to open the trap. But really, like, common sense prevails, right?
Yeah, and I know that was a little bit of a because at least with in the original film, the asshole guy, he's the asshole guy in so many movies. He was the one who ends up doing it because he's the
he forces his way in.
He forces his way in, does it himself, and it's like you've let this stuff loose, and they've done it a few. They've got a few ghosts at this point, and there you go. Where you'd think with her, it's like if I do this, something bad's going to happen,
right?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't actually understand why, and because they don't have the containment.
All they've got is that one trap that it can only contain one.
Yeah,
they don't know what to do with it or how to test with it.
Yeah,
right, because they're trying to figure out how to actually test it.
Yeah, well, the thing is as well, they wouldn't. One thing in this one movie I noticed, see, like in the original, they kind of went straight in. They had all this knowledge already.
Yeah.
It's like all this theoretical knowledge anyway that they just put into practice. Where these guys actually had that whole. This is the first time we've really encountered ghosts, so therefore we don't know if this is going to work.
More so that they had theories. That they were trying to prove.
Exactly right. Yeah.
And I think that's a very smart step in this sort of run, at least this film.
Yeah.
And it makes complete sense that, okay, we have our trap.
Yeah.
We've managed to catch one. We don't know what to do with it or how to test with it. So how about we'll just leave it on the counter because they haven't figured out a proper place to put it.
Yeah.
But we'll keep our eye on it and we'll leave it there until we know what to do with. And, of course, the stupidity is that they let it out.
Yeah.
But back to my case in point.
Yeah.
So we've got the proton packs and their function is more of a lasso to pull them into the trap. That's great. We see them only use it once, unfortunately. Then we've got the other gadgets.
Yes.
So what sparked the idea of having these gadgets, I don't know, but they're cool gadgets.
Yes.
And they do get use at least once.
Yes.
Aside from having to actually test them.
Yeah.
Which I think was cool as well.
That was good. They were cool little montages as well.
But the irony is, it's kind of like they had the foresight that something absolutely huge and evil was going to happen, where some kind of cataclysm was going to happen, that they would have needed these other gadgets that would just annihilate the ghosts in the first place.
Well, see, here's the funny thing as well, and actually that's where I thought you were going to go with it, because I remember watching it, and you know how you've got that big battle scene where all the ghosts are unleashed?
Yeah.
And they are using all these gadgets, and they're kind of taking the ghosts out.
Mm.
Funnily enough, because I was having this, as I was watching it, going, wait a minute, how can they take the ghosts out? These things aren't meant to destroy ghosts. They're just meant to kind of capture them, right? But then I noticed something. The ghosts aren't destroyed.
I noticed that there were like remnants of them lying around.
Remnants of them. And now, do you remember when they make the big trap? How they go, if we do this, we can turn that into a big trap and suck all the ghosts in?
Mm.
That's what happens.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Yeah. So, no, but that's what I mean. It's like what made them think about these gadgets? Look, no fucking idea. Like, why?
Granted, it's just a movie. I get it.
Exactly. No idea. But I think it was really cool that they decided to go down a different road and start using different types of things to stun the ghosts or to incapacitate them. But it does look like they still need to be trapped.
Yeah.
Somewhere and somehow.
Which...
That's going to be number 2.
Well, you see in the end credits anyway that Holtzman is actually building a containment.
That's unit, right, and that's who when she's with Sigourney Weaver's character, her mentor. That's exactly right.
So what I kind of miss, I guess, is that in the original we've got a montage of them going around the city because the events of ghosts coming to our plane is happening more and more as Gozer is coming. Coming to our existence, right? Whereas with this film, that's sort of kind of circumvented by the villain of the film.
Yeah.
And
who seems to know what's going on. Like because he's using similar technology.
Well, he read their book, right?
Yeah. And to unleash it, yeah.
Obviously, their book had some kind of theories of containment and stuff like that, right? So he's probably... I don't know. He claims that he has visions and so forth. Yeah. So maybe he saw how to use that. To his benefit. But what I wished more than anything is that we've got these gadgets. That's cool. Show them off. But to me, it's Ghostbusters, and Ghostbusters is always about trapping, right?
Yeah.
So it's great that they use the villain's device to pull everything back in, which is kind of a trope of that big machine that they're using to destroy the world. If we just flip a switch,
and it reverses it. Yeah. Let's reverse the polarities.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's what it felt like to me. And I mean, admittedly, it is it.
Yeah.
But like with the original film, you had those, and I don't want to compare it too much, but you had like that montage of them catching ghosts, and they're one after another after another. It would have been nice to see them test the equipment just a little bit more and have a few more ghosts to actually collect, not just the one, and then suddenly the whole city is rampant full of ghosts,
which they then have to now try and annihilate.
And I mean, half their equipment still hasn't been fully tested.
Yeah, I know, which was great.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
but it was still like I kind of, it's funny because that part itself of like you not just using these things or capturing more ghosts, I didn't feel like that was missing for me at all in this film. I would have like, because I think if we had that whole okay, now they're getting known and getting that little montagey thing, it would have been too much like the original.
Right.
One thing I did love with it though, and it's actually funny because they totally didn't do this. This was like at a big opposite, I should say. So you got the mayor, Andy Garcia, right? He's there, and you've got the Secret Serviceman.
Right.
Oh no, Homeland Security?
Well, it's NSA.
NSA, one of them. I don't know. They've got so many fucking organizations there for a less governed nation.
Anyway. It's like the spooks.
Yeah, exactly right. Anywho, I love it how they all know what's going on. Like, you know, have you seen?
Yeah.
They're all like, yeah, we totally believe you. We know this stuff's true, but there's reasons why we're going to call you fake because we don't want to have a mass hysteria, like a mass panic.
What I find,
where it was the opposite in the other one. No one believed them.
Actually, it completely slipped past me, right? Until you mention it. And it makes me wonder what has been happening that they're like, oh, yeah, no, we know.
Yeah. We know. We keep it all under wraps for a reason.
And it makes me wonder, like, no, it can't be.
What are you thinking?
For a moment, I was thinking maybe the original film did happen, and they've somehow sort of made people think it doesn't exist. But then
that's a little bit too Men in Black.
Yeah, it would be. So, no.
but exactly right, though. Because I did have this little moment as well of going, does that mean, you know, the original happened? Is that what they're trying to say? But maybe it's just that they know, you know, it's like when you watch those movies or those shows where the government happens to know that the supernatural exists, but they keep it all under wraps.
Yeah.
Like your Men in Blacks.
Yeah, I think in the end, I think that's what it is, right? But it also, the way they sort of discredit the Ghostbusters, it makes me wonder that when they're trying to combine their efforts to try and build the Ghostbusters in the first place, where they're like, well, who are you going to call? Remember the callback to the original movie, right? So who are you going to call? And it's the kind of like the MTV version of the Ghostbusters show that appears on the television behind them.
Yeah.
And they're like, it's because of these hacks that no one believes anything.
Yeah.
It makes me wonder if they're actually doing the same thing that they're doing.
Could be.
But the government has made it to look like
they're just like nut jobs who do that stuff.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
It makes me wonder if they're actually a part of it as well.
So it's like when you watch those ghost hunter shows, it's like, are they actually real? What's going on?
Yeah.
Yeah. I like it.
It started to make me think about that, right? Yeah. But one thing I want to jump to is Liam Hemsworth.
Chris Hemsworth.
Sorry, Chris Hemsworth.
Thor. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking of his brother for a moment.
Yeah.
So, Chris.
Yes.
Now, there's two stages to his character, right?
Yeah.
So, him as normal and him as being possessed, as you see in the trailer anyway. So, there's no giveaway there. Him being possessed, I think, fine, perfect. That he shines as it's an actual personality twist, right?
Yeah.
And I think he does that really well. But when he's not possessed and he is his other, like, normal self in the film, being a ditzy actor, did you find his ditziness over the top?
No, not at all. I thought it was hilarious.
Really?
I did it point, like, every time they did something little, look, it was over the top, and I think that was the point. Like, you know, the first moment that we see him, and he goes to clean his eye, like, wipe his eye, and he puts his finger through the glasses.
See, I didn't catch that. I did not catch that at all until they mentioned, like,
why no lenses?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he goes, oh, well, they kept on getting dirty, so I just took them out.
Yeah.
It's like, fucking, okay.
Right, so little things like that, okay, fine. It's an interesting quirk. But then stupid things like it's loud, so he covers his eyes.
Yeah.
And then it happens again, and he does it again.
Yeah.
I just thought, really?
I think it's because it's meant to be like, you know, the trope especially in movies like back in the 80s, you know, the trope was that the ditzy female. And so they just had it being the ditzy male, and I thought it was hilarious.
I've got no problem with him being a ditzy person. Yeah. Like, there are people that are just
that's stupid.
Well, I wasn't going to say that's stupid, but there are people that just
they're stupid.
Don't quite get it, right?
Yeah.
But to be someone this is my problem with the character when he's normal, right?
Yeah,
is that I find it just in a world that is just silly or whatever. That's all well and good, but I just find it hard to believe that a person like that can actually exist and be alive.
Oh, I don't know. You'd be funny.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
oh man, the internet's full of them. They exist.
It's just, I think he pulls off comedy quite well.
Yeah.
I just don't believe the character. Like, it's too full on for me.
Nah, I liked it, and I love the part that keeps flashing in my head is, you know, when he has the headshots. It's like him.
Yeah, actually, did you stay for the credits?
I did.
Right, so his mugshots are all over the credits.
I loved it. I love it. Which one makes me look more like a doctor? The one where he's got like the saxophone in his mouth, the one where he's got the saxophone in his ear like a telephone. Fucking gold.
But like, yeah, I think, I don't know, I find it hard to pick where I stand with him.
I loved him
in the film.
Yeah, I think that he was that right. I do see what you mean with the eyes thing, like it's too loud, like that thing. That was a little bit fucked. But at the same time, he was that right level of stupid. It was fucking brilliant.
Don't get me wrong. I think the character was trying to be something that he was 90% there.
Yeah.
But I think some of the jokes just don't work.
Yeah, fair enough.
And I don't think it's him per se. I think it's the writing of his character that just didn't work.
No, I thought he was funny. I just, you know, and especially as well, like, you know, how, like, even with how Kristen Wiig's character, who is it? What's her name? Erin. Even though Erin finds him, you know, so attractive and just, it was all like, oh, you know, you'd be great. She didn't want to hire him as a receptionist.
No, they all think he's a terrible receptionist.
Yeah, exactly right. But then he was the only one that applied, so they had to take him.
Yeah.
And he just leaves his suitcase and he's like, can I bring my suitcase up? Okay. He just leaves his clothes there.
I like the fact that he's not hiding his accent either, and it comes into play with certain jokes.
Yeah.
I thought that was quite clever and amusing. Now, the villain.
Yeah.
I wanted to jump to the villain.
Go.
So, what did you think of him?
As a villain or the character itself?
In general.
Look, it was funny. I kind of found him a little bit. I didn't mind him. Like, I liked the fact that he had this big plan. You know, like he had this big master plan. He wanted to kind of take over wanting to take over the ghosts or bring ghosts into the realm, because we don't realize until later that his whole plan was to die and control them.
Right.
I didn't really like. I liked that as a villainous plan. I thought that was quite well done.
Yeah.
I thought his little rantings every now and again were a bit. You know how he's got this whole, like, you know when we first really meet him.
Yeah.
And he's about to put the thing in the railway station.
And he talks about the fourth apocalypse. Or something.
It's like, don't worry, the sheep will all be gone. They'll be hiding. You'll be the ones that are, you know, and all that. I thought, okay, that's an interesting little rant.
I think it's just to show that he's a fruitcake.
Yeah, exactly right. Speaking of which, there was another cameo in that little, I think, it was in that hotel. Yeah, another little cameo.
Yeah, the original receptionist
was in it as well. They got fucking everyone back. It was brilliant.
Except for, the only one that I didn't see was Rick Moranis.
Yeah, but he doesn't do shit that much anymore.
He doesn't act anymore.
Yeah.
So he's retired. So, But yeah, aside from that, everyone else practically is kind of in it.
Yeah, which is cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I didn't mind him. Like, I thought, like I said, as a villain, he had that big grand plan, which you do need. You need a big grand plan.
Yeah.
And it was nice and grand. but at the same time, maybe a little bit nuts, you know. But that's what a villain's meant to have, a nuts plan.
Yeah, I like the quirkiness of him. I think the fact that he is just an odd job sort of helps push the whole, well, he's just insane.
Yeah, but he is an odd job.
His reasonings for doing it is a very simple motivation that a lot of villains tend to have. It's, I was picked on a lot as a kid.
Yeah.
And it kind of makes sense, and I think it works in a general sense. I don't think they put a lot of stock into the villain himself. I think it's what he becomes later that is a lot of stock into it.
See, and the funny thing is, though, you're like, you know, when you talk about the stock of the character, you know, when he is dead and he is a ghost and he has a lot of stock there, but it's not the actor playing him.
True.
You know, so that's where I go, is it the fact that, you know, the people he's possessing are bringing it's a flair to the character? It's
a bit of everything, right? Yeah. So when he gets possessed, you've got the actors pretending to be him.
Yep.
But then you've got his voice in the background. I think his voice work actually does quite well. When he's...
That's right, yeah. He does get that little voiceover, doesn't he?
So when he lets go of Chris Hemsworth and is being not in a corporeal body, he's doing a lot of voice work. You don't see him per se. You don't see his face, or you don't see a 3D rendering of him all that much. It's just literally smoke flowing through the air.
Yeah.
But the voice work is there. And I think he's much more animated when he's dead than when he's alive.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of ironic.
Well, I think that as well, though. It's like you think he's done that transcending to the higher power. Like, basically, when I say higher power, not as being, you know, like a higher power, but, you know, he goes from being a mere mortal to now being, you know, an ambivalent ghost with massive amounts of power.
I think it's just the fact that this is my theory anyway, is that being that he is an intelligent person and devised a way for him to keep that intelligence when he crosses over, that allowed him to potentially gain all that power.
Yeah.
It's either that or he probably struck a deal with all the ghosts.
Or something had to have happened, like, or maybe the fact.
Otherwise, how would it?
Why would they follow this one person?
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah, I did like the little homage in that when they've unleashed them all, the Macy's Day Parade.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not only that, I loved the logo. Right.
Yeah.
So the whole, remember in the original how the Marshmallow Man becomes like the big villain at the end, or the big threat at the end, and they have the same sort of thing happen, but instead of being the Marshmallow Man, it's the actual logo.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
And like in the original, it's like, well, pick a form.
Yeah.
It's like, no one think of anything. And it's like, done. I've chosen a form. It's like, okay, what happened?
Yeah.
Whereas this time it's like, pick a form, and straight out they're like, just something soft and cuddly.
Yeah.
And nice. So, yeah, I thought that was really clever.
No, I thought that was good as well. And I thought that was cool that they didn't just repeat and go, Stay Puff. Because funnily enough...
Although the Stay Puff is in there.
And that's what I love. That's what I meant with the Macy's Day Parade. And there he is. And it's like, and he had the face. Oh, so cute.
Yeah.
You know?
So, yeah, and that was really cool. I thought that the way they sort of threw that back in was really cool. One thing I wanted to say is all the ghosts at the end, the variety of them, really cool.
That was awesome too.
So like the carnival people and everything, like the history of New York, you can kind of see is coming through.
Is that you had like the red coats and all of those guys in there as well?
Yeah, so all of that was really clever. And obviously they thought about the certain history of New York, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, it was great because that's it as well. They didn't just go, let's just throw a random mishmash in. It's like, what does this place do? And like he said, because he goes, I'll take you back to old New York. So, you know, when you had the Macy's Day Parade, it wasn't, not Macy's Day, it's Thanksgiving Day. Whatever.
I knew what you meant.
Yeah, not American. But, you know, you've got that going on. But with it, you've also, you know, it said it was 1950 something. Yeah. So everything around was 1950s. And it was great. And the ghosts looked like they were 1950s. And it was really well done. Just before we wrap up, I was just going to say as well, like going through the different, you know, the credits, right?
Yeah.
So you watched to the very, very end, the post-credit scene?
Remind me?
See, they're listening to the record, like one of the recordings?
No.
No?
No, I didn't see that.
So at the very, very, very end, basically the African American girl. Come on, what's her name again? We just said it. This is really bad. That we can't remember.
Jones.
Leslie Jones. She's there. She's listening to the audio tapes. When she's listening to them, she hears something, and then she goes, "Hey, everyone, what's Zool?"
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
So what, do you think the sequel will take on Zool?
I don't think so. I think that was just a nod.
Right, okay.
And whatnot. But yeah, I thought that was a great nod.
Right.
Because I was thinking, because I went, oh, this is awesome. And I love it because a little kid, because, I said there were kids in the theater. He goes, what's Zool? And I went, kid. Go home and buy the 2 movies on iTunes and fucking smash them. You know what Zool is. Because there is no Dana, only Zool.
All right, so wrapping up.
Okay.
Do you want to start?
Yeah, man, you know what? I will. So, like I said, when I went into the movie, I was trying my best not to compare it to the original. And I think by the moment I actually did make the active effort not to compare it, I really enjoyed this movie. They did a great job at it. It's funny. It's original. Like, as in, it's original as much as a reboot can be. But they didn't just rehash the same story. They didn't just rehash the same characters. They did their best to keep it as true to the original, to the source material, while making it their own. And I take my hat off to them because they did a great job. Yes, I found little parts annoying, but was that enough to spoil the movie? Hell no. There's too many good, funny parts in this film. I think this is a great new Ghostbusters for a new generation. And I'm going to give this one 3.5 bananas.
3.5.
Yeah.
All right. So, unfortunately, we've just realized that the camera has finally died of batteries. We were hoping that it would last. So, what we'll do is I'm going to just squeeze my head into Heath's camera here. So, and I'm going to steal his microphone.
Oh, yeah, baby.
Right. So,
technical difficulties.
Right. So, we're going to play this one in. This should be funny for Dad. Right. So, anyway, what I'm going to say is this. I really enjoyed the movie. I was scared that it was going to be a bit of a build up to the hype and not really get there, but it did, and I really enjoyed it. For me, there were a couple of little things that I'm really being nitpicky throughout my discussion tonight, but all in all, I really did enjoy this movie. So I'm going to give this one 3 bananas.
Nice.
And that'll do.
Nice work there. I was going to try and do something lewd, but I thought not.
Yeah, so I thought I'd just squeeze around so at least you could see me for one last bit.
Excellent. Well, that's good. So, yeah, say 3.5 from me, 3 from you. Recommending, of course.
Yes, definite.
Yeah, I actually definitely want to give this a second watch.
Yeah. So, not that you can see me anymore, but I do agree with Heath in the fact that this movie was original. I was worried that it was going to be playing a lot of the same old cards from the original film to sort of just revamp it for a new audience, but they didn't.
Yeah, it was good.
They kept some things the same, but they changed a lot of it.
Absolutely.
And the fact that the main characters we are now following aren't the same characters that we've seen before. They're similar, but they're not the same. They are definitely different. I'm all for it.
Absolutely, me too.
So that's why I'm giving it 3. Yeah, anyway.
Sounds good.
So stay tuned for the end of the theme song if you want to find out what this week's movie, Who Am I, is. Otherwise, we will see you in a fortnight.
That's right, because we are the Theatre Gorillas, and I'm Heath.
And I'm Carlos. Catch ya.
Catch ya.
All right, so I decided to squeeze into here. So you've stayed on for this week's movie, Who Am I? And the answer is...
Romancing the Stone from 1984.
Yeah, with...
Michael Douglas, Kathleen Turner, and Danny DeVito.
Yeah, so not a bad movie. It did spark a sequel, but unfortunately, I think it flopped big time.
Yeah, it wasn't anywhere near as good as the original. It's a great... I like to think of this movie as an incredibly funny Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
But not.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it just didn't quite get there.
Didn't quite get there. But it's still funny. Definitely worth a watch.
Definitely worth a watch. And I think Danny DeVito plays a really good role.
He's fucking hilarious.
Anyway, we're Theatre Gorillas. We'll catch you next fortnight.
See ya.
Bye.
This podcast is recorded and produced by Theatre Gorillas. Edited by Dan Clark.